Hello and welcome to Health Second Opinion. Dr. Chad McDill here with you. Excited about yet another week of trying to help you bring some principle and truth to your life so that you can reach your life potential. You know, it is such a big thing today that I feel overwhelmed by how much the potential is being limited of the individuals today, myself included, by how much we buy into the mindset that is dominating our environment. And so I want to take a few minutes here, approximately 27 as a matter of fact, to talk about how our mindset really influences our reactions and everything with today's environment. You know, some of this was inspired by a conversation that I recently had with a local teacher, and she was talking about her grade level and how that only approximately like 40%, I believe was the number she used, of the children were ready to move on to the next grade. And that normally it was in the 90-something% that was ready to move on to the next grade. I'm going to try to do a better job here. Apparently people have been sending me text messages via and giving me more things to talk about and ideas. So I'm going to be responding to my phone. Bear with me as we work out this new system. So when we look at this, I mean, we think about that as potential. So let's just hypothesize that this was a kindergartner and they were only able, you know, that most of them were not going to be able to move on. Or what about a fifth grader moving into sixth grade? And in all of our children, my son Waylon's in seventh grade, and I've got a fourth grader and named Jonah, and my children are poised to take the next step in life. And due to the wonderful diligence of my wife and the at-home learning that she's accelerated with them and the diligence that she's put into that time, that they're going to be ready to move on. They're going to be in that percentage. But if, you know, 60% of kids here in Dade County, that this teacher was saying 60% of her children weren't really ready to move on to the next grade, but that because of the times and because of what was going on, it was kind of going to need to be just a pass. And then we think about, let's say that was really young. Let's say that it was second grade or third grade or something like that. That's going to follow those children the rest of their lives with this. And then how do we then as a society calibrate to accommodate to this lack of learning, the lack of reaching their life potential? Hey there. Hey there, Mary Jo. And so when we see these things and we wonder, I'm gonna have to let you know, a little bit getting older. Gonna put on the reading glasses so I can see a little better when I look at the screen for people responding on Facebook or the people responding on my text. So once again, here we go. So the mindset is that I could choose to say, well, I don't really need to read that and give you part of my best, or I could just put on my glasses and be a little humbled here and actually be able to read and answer the questions better. So we'll go with glasses. But the reality is that this is our education. This is the life potential of our children, and this is going to impact them for the rest of their lives. And so what are we going to do? And this, again, you know, I love the comparisons that I receive from other chiropractors in my conversations and things, and we had a great one this morning. And I look at this as, you know, what if we're going to talk about things based out of being a chef and creating health? And so when I step back, though, and I think about where would we be if, I don't know, Billy Graham, Martin Luther King Jr., Abe Lincoln, George Washington, all of these great figures from history, modern day, Joel Osteen, what if Michael Jordan had said, my okay is still pretty darn good. I'm not going to hone my craft. I'm not going to reach my potential, and I'm not going to push. What if Martin Luther King Jr. had said, my mindset just is, it might not really be worth it. Is equality really worth it? What would the world look like today if he hadn't reached for his potential? If he hadn't had the mindset, the faith, the determination to manifest social change? What if he hadn't had the perseverance? What would the world be? And then inside of this crisis, we have all been compromised. Our lives, our health, our efforts, our love, our connection has been compromised. And to the tune of a year and moving into another. And then how long do we tolerate that compromise? How long do we say that, here, there's a hug. That's all you get today. That's the connection loss. What are we going to do? What if that was the only, what if the virtual hug was the only hug you were going to get from the people who lived outside of your house? You know, these things that we are constantly compromising and coping with. And are we going to accept that our children will just get pushed along? Is that okay? Is that okay with you? Are we going to accept that we have less and that we should have less potential and that we should have less expectation for our children? And then what is that going to teach them for the rest of their lives? To compromise their values and to compromise their work ethic and to compromise the value of a good education. My job isn't to fix the policies and the procedures. My job is to ask questions. My job is to help you develop your mindset as to what you will accept. Because all of these things and the way that we govern our bodies and the way that we use our mindsets determines our actions. And so when I'm going old school, I'm going to stay with this for a while. This is, we got our brain up top, and our brain controls our whole body. Hopefully you can see that. And this whole body connection is being run, but the choices that our brain makes us do is determined by our mindset, by our goals, by our aspirations, by our expectations, by our education level, by our buy-in. What are you buying into? Are you buying into, okay is okay? Is your okay for your kids? Is your okay for your wife? Is your, I'm doing pretty good enough to keep your job? Is it good enough to live the life that you wanted? Because we're more challenged right now. Hands down, stress way high. Seems like every day I have a conversation with at least a dozen patients that says your exercise is not about your just calorie burning in your waistline or your cardiovascular health. It's about your hormone interplay and how cortisol, the stress hormone, is affecting all of the rest of the hormones in your body. And the only real effective way to burn cortisol is this high intensity interval training. And so get out, get it done, because it's what's going to allow you to deal with this extra stress. We need more exercise today than we did in 2019. Not less. I know we all don't feel like it. We're all a little more overwhelmed, but it's harder to get up off the couch. But it's more necessary. because your body is either developing a healthy cell or it's developing sick cells. And your mindset determines how willing you are to make the rest of the choices happen to develop healthy cells or sick cells. And at all times, your body is constantly changing. We are in a constant state of flux. That's why so many people will ask why, they'll come in and they'll say that ibuprofen doesn't work anymore. Well, yeah, your habits didn't change. Your body is sicker, and therefore whatever was causing the problem you never dealt with. So the damage has accumulated, so ibuprofen no longer works. It's not that ibuprofen no longer works. It still works. It just doesn't work on you because the damage is too much, because you didn't actually deal with what was causing the damage. Whether that was because you didn't deal with and most of the time people are coming in with their spine problems. They're coming in with health-related spine problems, and they want me to help them. But yet when we look at these things, so let's see here. Nice, yes. It's so true, Mary Jo. It's one of those, technology has made our lives easier, but it's made them less active. And then the mindset behind that is that I'm seeing these like cloud things online now, like where you can put on these goggles and you've got this virtual world and you're virtually rock climbing and you're virtually playing tennis, but you're virtually not moving. It's infuriating to think that my children will grow up in a world where virtual traveling and virtual experiences will virtually destroy their lives by robbing them of true life experience. But it's my job to help you and your family and my family have the mindset to know that what connects the brain to the body and what surrounds whether or not you develop sick cells or healthy cells is how your body functions. And the coordination of all function, the coordination of all chemistry, the coordination of all of your cardiovascular system, your hormones, your endocrine system, every system in your body is regulated through the brain. Your immune system. Your mindset then connects those choices that you're going to make, your outcomes that you want, your goals, your life expectancies, but then they're connected through the nervous system, and that is chiropractic. That is the only thing that we are doing, is removing the interference to the expression of life. The ability of your body to control and coordinate all other organ systems is this connection that runs through your spinal column. And if that spinal column is compromised, then all other activities are compromised. It might not create a pain. It might not create a symptom. It might not create something that you can directly measure in our, at-home environment. But it can be measured in the expression of your life potential, your health potential, your children's health potential. Had a friend come in, been a patient a long time, kids, been patients off and on throughout the years. And wow, but they started out, they were so tiny, they were actually just little bitty things. And then we've been adjusting them the whole time. And they've recently started new sports and they've started new things. And so she said, it's time we redo those x-rays. Let's get new pictures of them and see how they've changed through the years. And I was, wow, it's brilliant, let's do it. Took the new pictures, and unfortunately, things were not as good as we had hoped. And so it was a mind-blowing experience, even for me, the person who's been working with them, that not having these exercises or these x-rays to see what their new classroom stresses are doing to them, what their new sports stresses are doing to them from top to bottom. Because even as a chiropractor, I can feel the vertebra that I can feel with my hands, but how that are right there, just the ones I'm feeling. But how the whole spine is interacting and how that's influencing their health, it was It was wild, to see, man, that I missed that. And so it was so amazing to see. And so now we can correct those things and we can get that back under control, and they can continue to develop to their life potential, to their health potential. They will forever be developing more healthy cells instead of sick cells. And I love that because it's measurable, it's accountable, it's verifiable, that we can watch their spines reach better health, better alignment. And then I know that that is allowing them to express every other part of their body better. So now comes the question. If you're not a patient in the office under regular care, how's your spine doing? How's your nervous system functioning? If your answer is, well, I feel pretty good, so does the guy who dies of a heart attack the month before. So does the person most of the time who finds out they have terminal cancer the month before. Use all the examples. I mean, these are the reality checks of what's going on in our bodies, that 90% of our health is in run, all 90% of our function is subconscious. And subconsciously, your mindset and your choices determine your actions. And your actions, if they are healthy habits, which is what we do here in the office, which is something that I cannot value enough. And that, it's one of those things, if I charged for everything we do in the office, then you would have to be a billionaire to afford to be in the office. But since we don't charge for those things, the only thing that we charge for is chiropractic. Then in the adjustments and the things that we do related to chiropractic, the nutrition, the exercise, the detoxification, all of that, if you went to separate places, would be astronomical. But in here, it's just a part of our conversation because I really don't want to talk to you about the weather. I would rather talk to you about something that saves and changes your lives and saves and changes the lives of your neighbors, your people you go to church with, so that we can create a healthier world, so that we can all start making better choices, and maybe we get a better country and a better world. Your nutrition. Let's get back to our chef example. There we go. So we've got about 10 minutes left. The fact is that it all makes sense, and it's common sense. And if you're not a patient and you're not a part of the experience, not to mention all those things I just talked about, but what about the spiritual uplifting, the amount of focus that we have, and the mindset and the intention that your bodies were created to heal, that you aren't made of junk. Well, I don't know if you eat Twinkies and Ho-Hos and all that other stuff, maybe you are. But, but our bodies weren't intended to be junk, and they weren't created to be junk. And God made us better than that. We have this soul inside of us that is governing and directing all of our actions, and it's trying to give us the best intention, the best life. And we're here to help you reach that. But of course, if you're not in the game, you're not in the game. So when we think about these things, what about your nutrition? Chef comparison. What if you are the chef, by the way, and you're creating your meal, your dinner, you're creating your life. And so, but what if the chef was only given junk ingredients? They're going to make filet mignon with béarnaise sauce and roasted vegetables and all this amazing stuff. But every spit of it was subpar. It was all the junk, the leftovers. Is it going to taste the same as the chef if he was given the best of ingredients, the ideal ingredients? Obviously not. That's your nutrition. This is the building blocks of life. It is that which you choose to regenerate yourself with. And yeah, we all want it to taste good, but I want it to be good before it even tastes good. Because our satisfaction can come from the better life, the better health, the better energy to still get home and jump on the trampoline with my kids after a day's work. and still be capable of doing that instead of just collapsing out. That brings me more joy than how well my tuna fish tasted or my whatever tasted for lunch. And I know that that will last me longer, and I will get more life satisfaction out of it if I focus on the long-term goals. So what is your mindset telling you? If you're out here in the world and you're listening to that the world's going to end any second, so what's the point? Well, you know what? I beg to say that the Jews in Nazi Germany thought the world were coming to an end. I would say that they also did when they were living in Egypt. 400 years, right? Being slaves. What about all the many other things? The wars, the things, surely it was going to happen then, but none of us know. And so the best thing that we can do is be the best versions of ourselves and be the best focused. And that takes mindset to stay out of the junk and to stay focused on what we can control, which is our choices, which then determines our energy levels, which determines our ability to interact with other people, period. So the chef, what if he only cooked? Greatest chef in the world. But what if he only cooked once or twice a year? Is he going to be as good at cooking as he would be if he cooked 3 meals a day and he worked all the time and he was honing his craft and he was able to just tweak things just perfectly and he was understanding, you know, everything, and he was practiced day in and day out? Is he going to create the same meal as if he only cooked once or twice a year? That's exercise, folks. The delivery system of your body is how much you use it. How much your body is the law of supply and demand, right? That's why it's a law. Our bodies respond to the stresses that we put them under, physically, chemically, emotionally. Yes. So I'll answer that question in just a minute. So with exercise, I mean, how much are you doing? When are you doing it? Is it still important, or is it just, What's the intention behind your exercise? Is it to create the best or just burn calories? Is it monotonous? Can it bring you joy? Could it be fun? Could sometimes it be a family experience? Could just throwing the football or jumping on the trampoline, or mine is what we're developing is bike riding, getting, into mountain biking and, just hiking, things like that. The kids are changing of age. What can you do to make that exercise more effective and then more beneficial mentally, physically, spiritually? What can you do? See, these are the kind of things that, again, I feel so bad for people who don't have the doctor in their life that asks them these questions and then reconnects their body, removing interference from their spine so that that expression can happen. If that's not happening, then the mindset isn't going to reach the body the way it would if it was really connected. It's not about back pain. It's about the connection, the expectancy, the ability of the body to regenerate itself. That's chiropractic. So high intensity interval training is the question, is the best type of exercise that we know of to deal with burning off cortisol and creating a better hormone profile. It's look at the marathon runner versus the sprinter. Both in great shape, both ripped, but one is typically very emaciated and wasted, being the marathon runner, and then the other is absolutely chiseled and still peak performance. So I think that doing things that are long duration is essential too from time to time. But I think on a daily basis, the high intensity interval training, things like Max T3, go to maxt3.com, look it up, download it. It's only $20, and there you go. Now you got your great training for all skill levels at home. So thank you. That was a good question. What about your toxicity? Where's it coming from? And are you dealing with it? Let's check that time again. There you go. So if you're constantly putting on makeup, like the girl who was shopping on her phone while waiting while her son was getting adjusted, and I brought up, well, you know, if you're using that stuff, oh yeah, I love makeup. I use it all the time. I got this, I got that, and blah blah blah. And well, do you know if that stuff's toxic? If you ever looked into that? And she said, no, but you use it every day, and you love it, and you use a lot of it. Yeah, well, maybe you want to look at that, because you absorb things through your skin. You know, I mean, you could just, you know, you put a clove of garlic between your toes and just leave it there for 5 or 10 minutes, and you know, you're going to taste it. You've absorbed it. Your body's absorbing that, and so you're absorbing whatever you put on your skin. So look up and go to Megan McDill Facebook Beauty Counter, safe non-toxic makeup. You know, that was our conversation. Where's your toxicity coming from? Is my question. Is it from your food? Is it from your nutrition? Is it from makeup? Is it from the things that you're using? Is it from all these stinking cleaning supplies that we're having to use, these wipes that I'm having to use, and all the things that are chemicals? Do we know how deadly the things that we're using in our school systems are to our children, and the residues that they're constantly coming in contact with and breathing? I don't know. Are your kids on a detox kit? Do y'all address that? I hope so. So 5 essentials: the connection between the brain and the body, the very things, the connection to where are you getting connected? What are you plugging into with your mindset? Fear, death, and disease? The world's coming to an end? Or are you life, expression of hope, potential, love? What are you tuning in? This thing not only is a transmitter, but it's a receiver. The receiving of information determines and changes what it transmits back out, both into what it produces in your body, from the hormone levels to the everything levels, to the type of tissue you create, to what you give to your children, your friends, and your family in your church. I hope that this helps you have a mindset check. With love and respect, I hope to see you back here next week. Bye now.